Hey everybody, welcome. This is Barney Kuntze, creator and founder of the YL Success Summit, an online event completely dedicated to the success of young living independent distributors. As a gold leader working on platinum from Ontario, Canada at the time of this recording, hopefully in the future when you listen to it as a recording, I will be a healthy platinum working on diamond. At least that is the vision. So it's my goal to positively apply pressure and speak that into existence. And as we get into our call tonight, I just want to remind you that these calls are free. They're great that you can share with your team. And I'm going to show you right live on the screen where you can just go into youtube.com/YL Success Summit. And I want to show you that I actually found this out. And by the way, if you're just getting on, you might want to go ahead and mute yourself, or if you're on your phone, because sometimes I can't see everybody who's on the phone, you can mute yourself so we don't get any background noise or any distraction. So, but what's really cool about this is you can go to ylsuccesssummit.com. Now, we have to get our homepage set up because it's showing as though we have no content, but you can go to videos and you're going to see all of these calls that are scheduled right here on this page. And if you go to playlists, if and or when you have any questions about any presenters or any presentations, you can go to the playlist here for the bonus coaching calls. What I like to do personally, because I'm an educational personal development junkie, I guess you could say, I like to go to click on play, and then what it does is it puts it into a playlist. And you can change the order so that it starts from number 1 and then go number 2. However, just be mindful of the fact that if you're on your phone, it will use your data, so it's better to load it up on your Wi-Fi. But the other thing is you can go and check out the trailers for 2015 and 2016 for the presentations. So I just wanted to show you that as soon as you do that, you go, and what you're going to want to do is click on subscribe, and usually there's a little bell very close to the subscribe button. And what happens is when you do that, you then get notified when we upload a video, and it's usually about once or twice a week. So just wanted to show you that. And who we have tonight on our call with us, another installment, is Susan Martz, who is an amazing leader, in one of my best friends, and absolutely somebody who I look up to the most in Young Living is Jeffrey Lewis. And Jeffrey Lewis actually recommended that I reach out to Susan. And I'm so glad that we were able to connect, and she was able to do her presentations in 2015 and 2016. So without further ado, Susan, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, Barney, I'm really happy to be here. My pleasure.
It's awesome. So where are you at right now? Where are you calling in from?
I'm a Jersey girl. Jersey girl, born and raised.
And that's your social media handle, isn't it? What's it, Jersey girl?
Yeah, Jersey. Yeah, I had to spell it differently because somebody already took it, but I put OIL on the end to make it Jersey Goyle.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it fits for the accent, right?
Yes, it does. I try not to hold on to that accent, but I'm sure it slips out.
Yeah, it's cool. So what I'd love to do is I first of all just want to, I'd love for you to share your story with those of everybody listening now live and in the future about who you are, kind of your story with Young Living and where you're at right now. But before you do that, I just want to go back. I want to show everybody a document. These are Word documents that we have that are in our membership site. And I just want to show you Susan's presentation. You listen to her and you're like, wow, this lady's really cool. She's got a great information, great stuff to share. You can go back when you become a VIP member, or if you already own the material, you can refer to 15.64 and 65. So Susan, in her first year, did 2 presentations. She did the Empowered Parent, and then Broadway to Broad Spectrum, which was really cool. And then in 2016, which is right here, the other presentation that she did, well, it was the one that I actually had up on the screen, which is right here, which is AromaFlow Yoga, Easy Steps to Bring Essential Oils into Yoga Studio. So she really has done 3 presentations. So with that being said, now that you know what she's done, I'd love for you, Susan, just to kind of share your story in brief with how you got started with Young Living and where you're at right now.
Sure. I actually started from a Broadway. That's what that whole Broadway to Broad Spectrum meant, was I started from at a very young age as a performer, a dancer, singer, actress. and I pretty much danced my way onto Broadway, and that was my whole beginning of my life. It was my whole life was dancing. And it wasn't until I needed a break from my career on Broadway and needed some R&R time that my friend told me to go to Massachusetts. There's a yoga studio or yoga center up there called Kripalu. And at the time, it was an ashram. So I was a little weirded out by that because I'd never been to anything like that. And, you know, you always hear these stigmas about it. And I got myself in there. I laid myself down on the mat and almost fell asleep on my mat because I was so exhausted in my life. And it wasn't until the teacher started to tell me to, you know, wrap my legs around each other and have my spine twist to one side and let out a deep breath sound. And when I did that, everything sort of came up out of my body and tears started flowing, and I had this sort of out of body, if you want to call it, cathartic experience. And I never realized that I could experience myself, my body, my whole inner life that way. I didn't realize you could do it not, you know, by not being on stage, basically. That was my existence, was stage work.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is, first of all, this is really different, but oh my gosh, this is really awesome and I need to try this. So I brought it into my life and I realized that as I started maturing out of theater really and the whole outer experience and sort of egoic world and started getting more deeper into yoga and that internal world, I wanted to venture into it more. And of course, I started thinking about marriage and family, and I didn't want to be on the road doing, you know, 8 shows a week. So one thing morphed into the other, and before I knew it, I was taking a certification course in yoga, and then I was bringing it to my community through yoga studios, through gyms, through YMCAs. I was just integrating it all in my life. And through that, I realized, you know, being a yoga teacher, first of all, it's wonderful. However, you teach a yoga class and then you're done. Like, that's it. You get the paycheck for the week and then you spend it on your groceries, or you spend it on a bill, one bill for the month. And then you're done. And then you have to go back and you have to teach again. And then you know the cycle. I think we all know that cycle. But that was starting to come to my awareness because I had a child. I was thinking about my future, retirement. What was I going to do? I couldn't live off of just being a yoga teacher. So that's when my upline told me about Young Living. I was at my acupuncturist. He's my upline. And he put joy on my heart because I was going through some winter blues. And it shifted me in a way I'd never been shifted in his acupuncture before. So I had to find out what that was all about. Like, why did that smell or that oil do that to me? I thought that was just for, you know, to make your home smell really good. So he educated me, and then I did my own personal education on it. And I didn't jump into it right away, but I integrated some oils into my life. I didn't jump into the whole sharing, and, you know, I didn't want to have to do anything with selling or, you know, network marketing. It was like, nah, that's not my grid. I don't want to do that. So I just want to use it and see how it feels next time I'm feeling blue, you know. And then one thing after another, I kept trying different products, you know, the thieves, and then this happened and that happened. And I was like, okay, how can I not share it? You know, my sister, we were on a family vacation, and my sister said to me, I need some of that peace and calming because I'm having some stuff come up around family. And so she ended up leaving the family reunion with my peace and calming. So I realized in that moment, people want what I have. Why aren't I letting people know about it and sharing it and doing it in a way that serves the greater good, both me and my family and everyone that comes into my life. So then I started talking to people in my yoga classes when they would come up to me and say, you know, I got this going on, I got that going on, I can't do this pose, I can't do that. Oh, my family's going through this, you know, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial issues that people would approach me with. And I would say, here, try this oil, you know, put this on, this always helps me. It got to a point where my upline started to say to me, why don't you hold classes specifically for that? So when someone would approach me and I'd say, here, give this oil a try, I would say, and I'm having a class this coming week or next week, come to it and I'll educate you on it. So one thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was having leaders, I was having other people, you know, moms who were coming to my yoga class that wanted to share with their friends, and other yoga instructors that wanted to teach their students. And so before I knew it, I was ranking up. My paycheck was getting bigger. I was no longer just paying for my auto ship, but now it was starting to pay for my mortgage, you know, and it was like, wow, this is really happening. You know, it was happening all around me. And so I just kept moving forward with the courage of my upline, encouragement of my upline. And then I started to realize that it's team effort. You know, there's so much team effort in this. And I came from a career that was solely me. You know, it was all about me and getting out in my field and, you know, stepping over the other person to reach my goals. So I had to do a huge learning curve, you know, in my world to say, oh, this is not just about me. This has nothing to do with me. This is about team and supporting team. So much growth and so much love and so much awesomeness came from me stepping into, you know, quote, network marketing that I was so afraid to do. And that's where I am now. I've reached the rank of platinum, and like you, I'm striving for diamond, and I've got an amazing team that is just ranked to gold last month. It was a really great month coming off of convention, and so we've got this high and this energy going, and that's where I'm at. I'm super psyched about it.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. I've noticed a pretty consistent trend or common theme when it comes to not just the presenters as you guys share your story, and really as a presenter, you know, or anybody, for those of you listening, you know, you're a presenter for your own life, for your own material, for your team, for your business, and as you share that with other people throughout your day-to-day interactions. But one thing I've noticed, Susan, I found interesting that you were talking, is that it kind of, in a way, the oils kind of found you, and that you embraced it, and somebody shared with you in a very, you know, caring way. And I don't know your upline at all, but I could almost presume that he or she shared them with you in the intention that just kind of like, you know, it's like having a cup of water. Like if you'd like to have a glass, like enjoy the oil, great. And if not, then you can have a good day, right? But it had such an impact on you that you're like, wow, there's something to this. And then it just kept working. And do you mind me asking, how long has that been? Like, so you're at platinum working on diamond. How long have you been building?
I've been using oils for 12 years.
Okay.
But I didn't jump into the business right away. So when I jumped into the business, I guess it was maybe a couple of years later. And then when social media hit, it changed the game.
Right.
It was no longer, it just allowed you to connect to people so much easier through visuals, through sharing personal stories and life. And, you know, you know, you learn more and more every day. It's more about sharing yourself more than it is really, you know, sharing or selling, I should say, the business or Young Living.
Right.
It's, you know, me connecting to people or people connecting to me who might resonate with the things I do in my life.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's also when you're, so no matter where you are right now with building your business or getting started, or you're listening to this and thinking, I'm not even building a business. I don't even think about building a business, or I've been trying, but it's just not working. I think that it's good just to look at how you are sharing, because really, when I've had the great opportunity, and I'm sure many of you have listened to the call, but maybe not had the chance to talk to other, gold, platinum, diamonds, and above. And one thing's been consistent is that they just share the oils and encourage others to continue to share, and to do it in a way that you don't have to worry about compliance. You're saying, hey, I love what you said. It was really simple. It's like, hey, this is what I use for that. Or when I'm feeling this way, I use this and I really love it and it works. Why don't you give it a try? Because then it's just nice and simple and easy and kind of takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and because that is actually, this is what I teach my team, is that it's about standing behind the vision that you started with, when you were introduced. It's, too often we get caught up in the idea that, we come from this sort of employee mentality where we work for the boss and we better, get the sales out and we better make our numbers. And, there's a place for that for sure. But when it comes to this particular company, what I've witnessed a lot is people come from the heart first before they come from their need or their
Right.
their pocketbook. They really come from a place of I care for you first, and then I'll share with you the opportunity when it feels right and organic. I mean, that's me. Vicky Offer always taught that. She's
For sure.
way up above. She's the royal crown in my leg, and
Yeah.
she shares she has the heart-centered sharing, and she used to, I think she has a book out now. I think it just came out at convention. And I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the name off the top of my head. Sorry, Vicky, if you hear this. But she always had these great little documents or
Yeah.
folders that she would send of heart-centered sharing. And I totally connected to that because it literally was just about helping people.
Right.
And, when you're helping people, then they trust you. And that's what you want. You want to gain trust before you step into, before you step into sales in any
Right.
capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I know that starts to happen. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay. Last week we were talking with Susan, another Susan Johnson from Rhode Island. She's a cousin in our organization with my upline, Casey Conrad, it's her sister, and she was just talking about just simply sharing, and when you just take the whole selling aspect off the table, because for whatever reason there's that. I mean, I personally love sales when it comes to just selling from the heart, sharing from the heart, educating and empowering, and having let people know clearly what their options are and then letting them make the decision. But she was just saying how exactly what you're saying in slightly different terminology when it's just that sharing from the heart. And I think that's a common thread in Young Living. And so for those of you guys listening, just really take down, I'd encourage you to just make a couple notes about how you can do that and make a list of the people that you can share with, a quick little text or a Facebook message, an email, or a phone call. I mean, my goodness, I know it's also in this time and age, it's easy to just send a quick text or an email or a Facebook message. But I've been in our own team in Young Living and in my fitness business, been just calling clients and just making that 5 every day in my fitness business and in our team. And now, granted, in our whole team, we're over 1,000 people. So if I was to do that personally every day and I worked through the entire list, that would take me 200 days. But at the end of the day, but really 200 days is going to go by regardless, right? And yeah, so that part was really cool. I wanted to come back to this one with the AromaFlow yoga and easy steps to bring essential oils into yoga studios. So why don't you talk to us just a little bit? I know there's much more detail in your presentation. And by the way, if you guys are a little bit more curious about this, you can go to the YouTube channel and go to 2016 and find her trailer, or you can just go right to our website and go all the way to the top, and it'll have trailers, and then scroll down to day 10 where you'll find Susan's presentation. But Susan, if you could just give us a couple little tidbits of some good teaching points about what you're suggestions are for those listening that want to potentially approach some yoga studios, or for yoga instructors that want to bring it into their classes?
Yeah, sure. And I'm just going to tag off of that last thing that you said, which was, you know, you know, calling people is a very challenging thing, texting or reaching out, because we don't know actually how to approach people without sounding or feeling like we have an agenda. And so I always tell people, when and if you decide you're going to do this business and you're now starting to reach out or touch people, and you're calling up or you're doing the care calls, you know, those care calls, you need to let go of the agenda and step into their world. And by that, I mean asking questions about the kids and asking questions about their life, and get them talking so that you can feel them more. And so that always leads to another conversation, or it always leads to, oh, you know, when I go through that, this is what I do. Or, you know, I've been feeling that way lately too. You know what I've been doing? You know, those kinds of conversations helps people not feel threatened, but that you care about them. So I take that piece of it and I bring it to yoga studios that I approach. And I usually, what I try to do is actually go to the studio and take a class, so that when I am finished with the class, I can approach the instructor. And I usually try to frame it around the owner of the studio, because that's the one who really has the say-so and whether you bring it in or not. So what I like to do is I take the class, and then after the class, I approach the owner slash instructor, and I thank them for a great class, and I tell them how great the class was, and I tell them pieces about it that I really liked, because that allows them to feel good about what they offered and that they helped serve me. And then from there, I start up conversation. How long have you been in yoga? Again, this is part of that sort of bring them into, allow them to open up so that their world gets exposed and they feel vulnerable, and you hold the space for them so that you can actually come in and say, you know, I actually teach yoga. I actually teach AromaFlow, and I find the oils help with a deeper practice, or I've seen it in my students. They come out having experienced, you know, shavasana deeper, or their inversions, or their pranayama is experienced a little more open, because peppermint really helps the respiratory system open. So, you know, it means conversation. Have I done it like cold call? I call it cold call, but really it's cold email. I have done a blast where I just send out a blast email to local yoga studios or studios I might be visiting in town. And I don't normally get a response from that, only because they don't know me, I don't know them. So they don't trust me yet.
Right.
They think I'm selling them. And I don't want to sell them. I want them to trust me. So that's how I approach yoga studios. And then once somebody does say, yeah, I'm interested, or, you know, maybe I've reached out to a yoga instructor and say, hey, why don't you ask the studio owner if they're interested in AromaFlow or using essential oils in a practice, and we could set up a meeting and we can talk about it. So that's sort of how I've gotten into yoga studios. I make sure that I create relationship first, especially when you're dealing with yogis, because yogis are very open-hearted,
Right.
and they don't want to be sold, and they don't want to be you know, when you have beings that are very open beings, they sense a vulnerability that you don't want to step on, you know, and if you do step on it, they shut down and they push you out. So, and then that's not saying that's a bad thing. That's actually a very good thing, because they know how to protect themselves. So I try to make sure that I step into their world and create an environment that they stay open to me in. And then, does that help answer the question?
Yeah, for sure. I think it really it's the old saying that goes, everybody's listening and tuned into the WIIFM radio station, the What's in It for Me station. Even
Right.
if they are super open-hearted, and as I just kind of really just kind of leading with the heart and
It's
just kind of
21
going with
hours.
there's my computer telling the time. Just kind of going with the flow. They still want to know. I mean, at the end of the day, really, if they're a yoga studio owner, they still hopefully have their business hat on in order to stay in business.
Yeah.
And so they've got that hat on. And I know for me in fitness,
Here's the trick though.
Yeah, go.
There's a trick about it though, because with and this you may have had this with your fitness space as well, but I know with yoga studio owners, they tend to they find it contraindicative of what they're there for. So by that I mean, and I'm sort of generalizing this, I'm not saying all yoga studio owners, so I don't want to offend anybody that way, but the tendency is they don't want to push a quote product on people. They want to keep it evenly balanced. They want, if anything, they almost want it, they don't want anyone to come into a world that is quote selling them. You know what I mean? And yes, they have a business sense, and that I too try to tune into. But there's a fine line with yoga studios in that they just don't want, to have you selling them on something. So what I tend to say to studio owners is, if you don't want me to, I will teach the class and I will introduce the oils, and then I will let them know, or give them my business card and let them know how to contact me if they want to learn more about getting oils for themselves. But other studios will say, no, that's okay, go ahead, share how they can get them. So it's a balancing act, and you have to feel out the owner and how they want to, because what you want to try, it's a little complicated. What you want to try to do is help the studio owner see the vision and become a distributor, so that anyone in the studio gets put under them.
Right.
And I have plenty of studio owners that went that route, and I also have other studio owners that didn't want to go that route and they wanted out. They don't put me in association with that kind of selling or marketing.
Right. Yeah, you know what I find interesting though is, and I can say this candidly, so for those of you yoga studio owners or fitness business or just small business, I've been a small business owner in fitness for about 13 years. The one thing is that with my personality, I'm a red blue or a blue red depending on the day, and I have some green and yellow in there too. But I will say this, that it's interesting where they're like, oh no, I don't want to, I don't want to have any part of that. But then they'll go and they'll have products that they'll sell and they're okay with it. Cause I had in a conversation, I said, okay, I'm just curious, like why, I know that you're not interested. It's not going to work, but I'm just curious why, what's the main thing? And they're like, well, I just, that I just like to be able to buy the product and, sell it and just have it. So it's just done and done. I can, kind of press my hands off. And I'm like, okay, so let me just get this clear. You're okay with you making money and selling and profiting and benefiting from it as you should, the business owner, but is it not potentially a little bit more of an evolved way of looking at it, that you can actually help more people through the instructors in your facility, your studio, that radiates out into every participant that comes to the class, and in a way that you're not having to manage that you can empower and kind of let go, and really let that go, because that's going to continue to grow with or without you. And then she kind of looked at me and she's like, I never looked at it like that before. And I didn't say it in like a snarky way, but I just really wanted to ask her to just like to look at it from a different perspective, because I was just curious, as if she wasn't interested, why not, right? Now, I could ask that question to this lady, who will let her remain anonymous, because I know her and know her studio, and so I have a relationship with her. But you certainly wouldn't want to go in and ask that kind of a question with somebody that you just have gotten to start to know, because they want to know that you've got your intention is for the long haul.
Yes, and it is quite the conundrum for, and I find that often with even just not a yoga studio owner, but anyone really, it's understanding the ethics and the beauty of network marketing and how you do serve others when you allow them a distributorship, not just because they're getting 24% off on any products they ever want to get from here on out, or more oils they want to integrate into their practice, but you're allowing them the opportunity for a massive amount of income. And why wouldn't you offer that? Because there's something that they just don't see the picture yet. They see it as they're gaining a profit on someone else's purchase, whether, and yet that's okay if they have, eye pillows in the studio that they sell, or mats in the studio that they sell. It's a paradigm shift that we as business builders and leaders sort of have to help them see the vision. And that can be, it can be a bit of a hurdle to jump. I mean, I think we all feel that on some level because of the nature of the business, because it has had such a bad sort of connotation or a bad rap, in the past of network marketing. People think, oh, salesman, that kind of thing. But we are the pioneers, sort of, because of Gary Young. We are the pioneers of heart-centered sharing and relationship business, relationship marketing, relationship networking. And I think it's only getting better. It's only getting bigger, and people are seeing the bigger picture. So we just have to stay solid in our vision and keep moving forward with that, and share it and keep sharing it, because that is one thing that we come up against, is the fear of being judged, that we are salesy, or we don't want to be seen as something, undesirable to other people. But the reality is if you're behind the vision, then you know that every time you share that vision, you help someone else's life. And that's ultimately what's at the root of it for me, as I'm sure it is for you. And I think most young living representatives, it is that vision, is I just want to help you. It fulfills me to help you. And that's ultimately where I come from when I approach studios. This can help your business.
For sure. Yeah, and the other thing too, and then I think I'd love to go into one of the other presentations, or maybe two, if we can fit them in here, the ones that you did in the first year, is that definitely when you're approaching the yoga studios, which really can go for fitness business or, CrossFit, they all have their own unique different, CrossFit's definitely going to be a different approach than a yoga studio, than a Pilates studio, than a spinning studio, and a fitness club, and a regular 24-hour access gym. But the bottom line is that every studio owner is looking to constantly support, so complement and complete their ancillary revenue or additional streams of flow of income into the business, so that they continue to benefit and be abundant and profitable, but also in a way that's in genuine alignment or authentic alignment with their business model and their kind of, like you could say, corporate culture or the vision of the company. And so if you can look at that as an opportunity, whether that be everything that we just talked about and Susan just talked about with a yoga studio, you really can apply that to any business. And let
me just add to that, because
sure.
when we find a sort of like Broadway for me, or performing for me, or chiropractic, or psychiatrists, or anybody who has a field that they're in, we almost become, I'm trying to find the word, it's like a prisoner of our own grid, in a way, like a prisoner of our own work. When I was doing shows, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved being on stage, but it turned into a 9 to 5, literally. I mean, it wasn't 9 to 5, but it was 8 shows a week. And every night I was in a dark theater, and I had rehearsals during the day. So it became work. And if the show closed, that's it for my paycheck. So I was a prisoner of my work in essence. I may have loved it, but there was no financial future for me unless I was putting away, or I had enough, or I was making enough to actually put away and live off of in my future. So
Yeah.
when Young Living came along, it changed the picture for me. It was like the ceiling opened up, and I had so much at my fingertips. I was like, oh my gosh, I could say yes to anything I want if I get to that place. All I have to do is do the work I've been doing on my career and channel it to Young Living. I get very excited about it. Very excited.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice for sure. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I was just going to remind me two things, and we can switch gears because I think that's a really good add-on. And I wanted to show you guys. So this is what's cool is we're talking. My brain, creates like my creativity starts to get fired up here. So for those of you who are VIP members and you have access to the presentations, or if you're taking part of the beta tester program right now, or what's going to be known as our all access program, is what's cool about this is if I'm listening to Susan and two presentations came up to mind where we're talking about it and we're like, oh, well, you can really work on care calls. Melissa Pepping did her presentation the first year. It's on day 3 on Rock Your Business with care calls. Now she's done this presentation at certain live events, but that's a great one to revisit and how to do these care calls and do them with the right intention. And that's why I love what the presenters have contributed and what we put together with is that you guys have these tools to be able to utilize to listen to yourself and grow, and then eventually you're going to be able to share them. And then another presentation is by Andy Jenkins, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it here, but he did one where it's called Overflow. I think it's he did it in 2016, but he talks about, and a lot of what Susan, what you've been discussing, which is finding your natural flow, like finding yours obviously is in yoga and in your Broadway present, like everything you did in Broadway and in being on stage, because that's where you naturally excel as who you are. It overflows, it spills out of you. And that's what Andy Jenkins talks about finding that spot where you naturally excel, where it doesn't feel like it's work, it doesn't feel hard, it overflows out of you. And I really I would really love to encourage you all listening to this to find that spot if you haven't already. And if you have, keep reinforcing that and reminding yourself of that, and then work with other people in your team to help them do that as well. And then you'll be able to sound just as excited as Susan does when she talks about it, which is very cool. Cool. So any other thoughts on that before we switch gears here a bit?
On AromaFlow, I just hope that I answered enough. I'm actually writing a book around it because so many yoga instructors come to me and say, now, how do I implement oils in my class? So right. I'd like to be able to give them something to actually take home and read and work off of for their classes. Right. So know that that's coming down the pike for you. I'm going to be doing Elevate, which is happening in DC the Labor Day weekend. Okay. And I'm going to be teaching the yoga classes in the morning, and I hope to have it by then. I am going to have it by then.
put it on the map.
So I want to be able to answer. I know there's like a lot of detailed questions that people might have around it. So know that I'm going to answer it in that. Sure. Unless, of course, someone has a question tonight, I can always try and answer it there. But yeah. Yes, I'm ready to move on.
Okay, cool. So what about that book? If people are listening to this and are like, cool, I want to learn more about it, where can they kind of stay connected with you, or where should they look to find more about that? Are you set up?
They can Facebook message me, they could just Facebook friend me if they'd like for right now, and I will be announcing it there, and I'll be announcing it, I'll be bringing it to Elevate as well. So
okay.
Have them check out. I believe it's on Facebook, Elevate. Depends on what you're looking for right now.
I was just gonna put your name because on Facebook, is it Susan?
Sure.
What is it?
It's Susan Santoro Martz.
Okay.
Santoro is my maiden name.
Martz, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Susan Santoro Martz. So you can find more online and Facebook and Messenger and stay connected. So that'd be cool because then for those of you who are interested, then you can stay tuned to that, and
Yeah.
which is really awesome. And I think that the next thing, so the other two presentations that you did were in the first year was the empowered parent, and then the first one was Broadway to broad spectrum. So why don't you let's start with the Broadway one and share a couple nuggets from that for people.
Well, the Broadway to broad spectrum was really I talked mostly about how, when you are really focused on a vision and it's mostly about your why, which we talk a lot about in our business. And that is that you have to have a really solid why in order to keep you moving forward, to help you get up in the morning and have, a reason for why you're doing what you're doing, to be able to have when you fall or when you're frustrated or when it's not happening to your liking or it's not happening fast enough, which is I happen to be a Ruby, like solid through and through. I'm sure I have other pieces, but my first color is red, and if things aren't happening fast enough, I can stray or I can get really frustrated. So I have to make sure that I have my solid why and I have inspiration and things that keep me moving forward. So the whole point of Broadway to broad spectrum was that it's sort of what I was talking about tonight, in that ever since I came out of my mother's womb, I was dancing, and that's all I wanted to do. When my dad, I think I was 15 years old, my dad took me to my first Broadway show, which was Pippin at the time. And I remember being on the edge of my seat and looking over at him and saying, I'm going to do that. That is, there's no question I will be doing that. So it just, dance class after dance class, my mom sent me to the School of the Arts and, all kinds of things that sort of set the stage, literally because I had my why. I knew what I wanted, and there was no question. There was absolutely no question. I got up every morning and I wanted to dance. I went to bed every night and I was dancing in my dreams. So it was so embedded in my life. And so I talk about how integrated that was and how it came to fruition because it was so integrated. There was no question. So I made it happen. So when Young Living came into my life, and that's why, which was, I have to have financial freedom in my future. I cannot retire into an old folks home, or I can't retire into, my small little house. I want to be able to have a house in Florida to go in the winter. I want to be able to have a house in, the Northeast or Colorado to see the mountains. Like, I have dreams, and I'm not going to let them not happen because I don't have a paycheck or because I'm doing a job that doesn't support me for those dreams. So I saw it in Young Living, and I stepped in and I said, I am doing it, and I'm going to make this happen. And so that's pretty much what the Broadway to broad spectrum was about, and the trials and tribulations of going through it, basically. Does that help?
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually did just find it here. I found the trailer, and I think obviously it's quite challenging to condense a 30 to 40 minute presentation down in 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that what's neat about it is that, it's different ways. And what I've noticed too is that, there's different tools and systems and books and resources that are out there. And what our vision is, and with the summit, is not for me to be the expert or anything. It's to really collaborate and bring the best of the best in Young Living, like you, Susan, and your story that people might really resonate with. And maybe some people like, yeah, that's cool, but I do it this way. Well, it's great to be able to glean the nuggets of wisdom that can be utilized in order to help take you to the next level. And you never know, as when you're reading the book, you never know what the next sentence is that you'll read could have the potential to literally change the direction of your life. And that can go for presentations that you all have access to. The especially as VIP members, for people to utilize, to listen to, and like, wow, that's really great. And then you think of somebody else, and then you'll be able to send it. Just because we've all this amazing 147 different presentations, and it's just cool. I just think it's awesome to be able to really unite and take the time to talk a little bit more about the presentations because it is during the live event, like when we go live again this year in October 1st to the 14th, it's like drinking from a fire hose. You know, you're going through and there's how many presentations every day, and it's a lot to take in. But the great part is it's free. You can get showcased all the awesome stuff. And so I think that's a great summary. And although maybe I would say probably the majority of people listening or haven't had the opportunity to get on Broadway and maybe not be on a stage regularly, but to be able to connect with how you've bridged that gap of finding your own
Right.
in it, I think is the big.
Right. And that one piece is, you know, when I was young, I was just out of high school. I went to the School of the Arts for high school, and I remember it was my jump off point. My mom kept saying to me, "Don't you want to go to college?" And I was like, "No, I really don't want to go to college, Mom. I just want to get on stage." And you know, it wasn't happening right away. I had to audition. I didn't get in every audition. I didn't get every job. And you know, she was trying to be a good mom, and she said to me, "Honey, you have to get a job. You have to start paying some rent, and you have to get, you know, out from under our roof, and you need to think about other options." And I remember a sense of panic came over me, and a sense of dread even. And I thought to myself, there's no friggin' way I'm going to take any old job. Just not going to happen. So I just put the pedal to the metal, and I made sure I got what I wanted. So now in my life, you know, and there's steps to that in the I'm looking at Empowered Parent in a broad spectrum. In that now, you know, I look at my husband, and the sense of urgency is getting older. You know, I'm not getting younger, I'm getting older. And honey, we got to get ourselves, you know, a solid foundation.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do about it. And he's like, well, okay. You know, when he first looked at that first, you know, when I was doing essential rewards and I was spending money, he was like, you know, what's happening here? What's the stream you're talking about? It's spending our money, not making us money.
Right.
So it wasn't until my paycheck hit $600 and he picked his head up, you know, and he said, okay, let's take a look at this. So I had him on board with me. And then when it just kept growing and growing. And then he started dreaming about the car he wanted to get, or, you know, so it took off.
Yeah.
The passion and the need to have your strong why was in place. And that's what I want to help everybody understand is, you know, just going into this to see if it's going to work or to see if it gives back to you ain't going to happen. It takes muscle. It takes hustle. It takes some sweat. It takes discomfort and looking at yourself and how you're approaching it and making change. You know, but you have that strong why behind you. It's like, I want the challenge. Let's do it. You know, it's like you said, Barney, you said you sort of like the challenge of sell, or you sort of like the sale because, you know, you grow out of it. It's a win-win for everybody. It's just awesome.
Yeah, because I think to the degree that you see it as a detriment or it's negative or, oh my goodness, and I'm fretting it and I don't want to, you know, come off that way, that is already being put out there and people will pick up on it. You know, and easier said than done for sure. Totally get it. I have some of my team members like, well, I can't, you know, do it like that you do. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not like I went from, you know, nothing to diamond in, you know, 12, 24, 36 months. There's really no timeline. It's just really constantly getting better. And what you had said earlier about the paycheck, I think that's really cool and important. So if you're in a relationship or in your family and you need some support, I can tell you right now, if you're not getting the support or you're looking for the support, but it's just not happening, the only person that you have to hold responsible is the person that looks back at you in that shiny piece of glass that sticks on the wall when you're brushing your teeth. Sometimes a tough pill to swallow, but I say that with a big smile on my face and from the heart, from the standpoint that the best thing that you can do is to get that, like you said, Susan. Just imagine what would have happened if you couldn't get it over and get your check over $5 or $6 or $7 or $800, where it really got your husband's attention. He's like, okay, sweet, because I think that there's a switch that really happens there, and even if it's the different, because I'm in the minority of guys in Young Living. Typically, it's presumed that people walk up to us and like, oh, cool, like when did your wife introduce you to Young Living, and how long have you been? That's so nice that you're helping your wife in the business, and kind of like, yeah, actually, it's the other way around, but I just kind of sometimes go with the flow. And the only reason I bring this up is because I did do that in reverse for my wife, because I was like, didn't want to necessarily go back to work. Wanted her dream was to be a full-time stay-at-home mom, and I'm like, okay, but you're a massage therapist, work relatively part-time hours, good income that's flexible. So we need to look at options. But I'm very glad that she did, because it kind of encouraged us to look at this.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. I like your story. I like that you came into it first and introduced it to your wife, really.
yeah, it's just the way the cookie crumbled, I guess you could say. And speaking as a parent, and the last note, in the last couple of minutes, why don't we talk just for a couple of minutes about your empowered parent presentation and what people could look forward to in that?
The empowered parent is about changing the planet. And it's so the broad spectrum is more about changing yourself and finding your why. Empowered parent is more about changing the planet, supporting the planet through as we birth this new generation. When my son came into the world, I had one oil in my hands, and that was through this acupuncturist. There was a polarity therapist in the center, and she put a gentle baby on me when she would do polarity on me. And so I bought the oil, and I had my doula, which was my sister, actually, rub it all over my belly, and massage me, prior to birthing and laboring. And it was sort of my gateway into, when you bring a child into the world, all of a sudden you are faced with the environment on so many levels, from, people to, personal care products to, cleaning, everything. The first thing is the home environment and what you're bringing in, and then the food intake that you're having. And so everything changed for me, and I was able to take a step back, and I probably got a little OCD about it, like I got obsessive about it. But it was really, really important to me to raise my son as cleanly as possible. And Young Living came in and sort of swooped me up and said, here, I'll give you everything you need, because literally it can give you everything you need. It can give you what you clean your floors with and the baby crawls on, to oh my gosh, now the seedlings line is like,
yeah.
It makes you want to makes you want to have a baby, not me.
Yeah, we've got another one coming in August, so.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that is so amazing. Congratulations, that's just amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, my ovaries are done, but that's okay. But I'm sharing it with others because, we are seeing a generation of babies coming in, and they are already predisposed to so many health issues. And, they're naming all these health issues now, and it's scary, sad, upsetting, disconcerting. And so I just think that Young Living is just a perfect sort of pill, to take when you're faced with the environment. And I just don't have enough to say about it. Just with the seedlings line itself, it just gets me so excited.
Yeah.
I almost used that whole little bundle that they sell. I bought the whole bundle, and like I almost use it as my diffuser in my room because it smells so good. It's just like it reminds me of a baby, and I just love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I got
but and now, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say I gotta admit it's pretty awesome. Like the wipes and the baby oil and the
Yeah,
wash, like the shampoo and baby wash, like it's
yeah.
pretty amazing, really.
It really is. And now with the makeup line coming out, the moms can feel like they're supported in that realm. I mean, this has been, I don't know how long you've been in it, Barney, but ever since I've been in it, we've always been like, oh, why don't they make makeup? You know, they should do makeup. And
Yeah,
so at convention this year, we were off our seats screaming, and, we were so psyched.
yeah,
So it keeps growing, and the vision that Gary Young has and the whole Young Living team has around supporting the family and empowering the parent is so solid that you literally could just go shopping, take your shopping away from Whole Foods and, any of your personal care shopping, and put it right into your Central Rewards, and you'll get so rewarded back. So I try to really empower lots of parents in that regard, in that this is where you shop and they pay you back. Like they reward you for shopping with them. Whole Foods doesn't do that,
yeah.
so
Well, yeah, no, for sure. That's the best comparison is I tell people to go to Whole Foods or their health food store or wherever they're getting their products from to do the replacement buying or redirect their spending, or
yeah,
transfer buying is different ways to say it. But to just think that, okay, take that price and then you take 24% off retail. And then when you are on Essential Rewards, between another 10 and 24%, 25% off of that price, technically, when you're on a 300 PV order at 25%, that's another 75 PV points that you can use,
yeah,
which is essentially
yeah.
like getting $75 off your order. So in reality, you're getting $300 worth of product plus for 225, but then you get all the free products that come along with it. It's almost, it's amazing. So I don't
It
want to say
is.
it's
And
too good to be.
and it's really important too to remind moms and dads that they can support each other by shopping at Young Living. We're supporting each other. We are supporting a vision, and Gary Young and his vision um, of of having a sustainable planet, and we're helping each other in our businesses as moms and dads, at home. So I always try to remind people that as well. It's like, this is my family business. This is me and my family creating a business for ourselves. It's like if I had a shop in town, or a yoga studio, or any business in town, where would you go? Would you go, shop at Target, or would you shop, at my place? So Young Living is my place. I own it. It is who I am, and you have to remind people that it's not just the company out there that you can't that you think you work for. No, you're working for yourself, and this is my business, and Young Living helps support that. So kind of got off there, but you
Yeah,
have to remind people that sometimes that's what this is about. It's your store. Why not shop at your store?
for sure. And I definitely, to acknowledge the person for you that's listening live and in the future. I know that there's going to be a few of you listening thinking, well, oh, I don't have a business. I'm not doing this to sell anything. I don't want to build a business. I just want to love the products and use them more. Then totally cool. But look at it this way. And if you don't have that, then if it's really not in your deck of cards, or it's not in alignment with who you are as a person, or it's not your calling, then that's fine. But remember, sometimes it's not about you, it's about other people, and that just that simple share with other people can really change somebody's lives. But then also looking at it just simplistically, and we can kind of wrap things up here, is that when you say business, Susan, if somebody's thinking in their mind, well, I just got started, or I don't see myself as a business, or I don't see this as a company for whatever reason, if that's where you're at, also remember that the tax benefits of having a home-based business, even if you don't have the intention to earn an income, having the tax write-off for a home-based business is amazing, especially if you just have a corporate job or you're employed, because that's a big downside if you're just an employee and you don't have any write-offs, and that's a huge benefit. Of course, you're going to want to consult your accountant or bookkeeper to make sure that you're playing within the rules of the IRS and or the CRA for us in Canada here. But that's huge too, so that when you can see it, and hopefully you do see it as a business, and if not, then just love the products and share them with other people, and that's totally cool too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So awesome, Susan. Thank you so much. I try to keep these around 60 minutes as best as we possibly can. Thank you so much for investing and contributing the most precious resource that we all have, which is time, and the one only commodity that once you spend, you never get back. But I think it was an amazing investment, and I really think it's great for those of you that you're listening live. You look for this call. Will be up in a couple days, usually within 48 hours, up in the our YouTube page, and make sure you go and follow or connect with Susan on Facebook and stay connected with her so that when the book comes out, you can get connected on that. And yeah, any final words from your end there, Susan?
Oh, just stay in your why, stay in your love, stay in your heart. And I wanted to say to you, Barney, thank you for putting all of these amazing pieces that you've brought together for us, the community of Young Living. I think it's an amazing thing you've done and a huge undertaking, needless to say, but it's amazing, and I really appreciate the energy, and I'm sure others do as well, that you put into this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I can tell you, if it wasn't such a strong, compelling calling and part of my mission and vision and legacy as a human being and as a leader in Young Living, trust me, it's been a huge distraction for me building my own business. And some people would say, oh, well, that's not good. You should just focus on building your own business. I'm like, yeah, I'm going, like, Royal Crown Diamond is in my future. It's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. But this was very clear. This, as in the WILE Success Summit, was to help support everybody. As my good friend, Dr. Jim Bob Hagerton, always says, it's all for Team YL. You know, this is for you guys. Yeah. And in closing, I'll just say this, that the only thing that's standing between you and your ability to access all these great trainings, we've simplified it to keep it very, very simple. You can go to this link. If it resonates with you, you can go to just go to that URL 2000 right now. It should be 2017, but just 2016.wilesuccesssummit.com/VIP. There's a short little video from that good looking dude there from Canada. And I have a brief little bias maybe, but I have a brief little kind of written summary of it. And in a nutshell, you can just choose the prepaid for the year or monthly. It's only $14.95 a month. And I want you guys to know that there are events that are out there in the summit community or online meeting community that don't compensate the presenters. And I don't think that I believe in just compensating the presenters, even though some of them are like, oh, I don't care about that. I'm not here to earn anything. But I think that you guys deserve to be compensated for your time. And I just want you to know that portion of that $14.95 or the $149 for the year is now going to the Young Living Foundation and also to the presenters as well. So just keep that in mind, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. And no matter where you're at in your journey, that's less than 48 cents a day to have access to those 147 presentations. And then this year, the other, 55, 60, 70 presentations that we're going to add to not be overwhelming for you, but just to use. You're probably going to have your top 10 to 15. When you look at these presentations, you're probably going to use this, maybe Susan's presentation, now that it's fresh in your mind, and you're going to want to be able to share that when that feature comes available. So just wanted to reiterate that in closing. So thank you so much. Any questions, you guys can reach us at support@wilesuccesssummit.com. On Facebook, you can go to wilesummit.com, and on YouTube, WILE Success Summit as well. So Susan, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And
thank you.
All right. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you on the next week's call, 8:30 every Wednesday night, Eastern Standard Time. We'll be here ready to rock and roll.
Thank you, Barney.
Have a great week, guys.